Okay, we're gonna go ahead and start. Want to make sure to allow ample time for people to share their thoughts as we go through our presentation. My name is Brent Berry. I am the superintendent at Phoenix Talent Schools. On here we have board members, we have staff. Thank you to our board members. Right now I see Polly and Dawn as a board member. Looks like that's it for now, unless somebody can see. And then staff, Tiffany Lambert, assistant superintendent, Heather Lowe Rogers, Talent Elementary, principal Maria Lee, works in as a TOSA for us. And I know Lucy Brassard's on, and Joe Zavala, our media specialist. So we're just going to kind of open it up. We're going to kind of set the stage of what this listening session is kind of all about, and some of the things that we have done in response to previous listening sessions as far as student investment account. So I am going to now share my screen and go through a quick presentation. And I am hopeful you have that in front of you on your screen.
Looks great, Brent.
All right, great. Thank you. Appreciate it, because sometimes I can't see people, but if anything comes up, you can chat me or just pop in. But what is a listening session? We've done these for the last few years. Really is to understand what our district is doing well, what the challenges are, and how our families perceive kind of the operations of the school. We value this time. We seek information from you. We put this information really into practice as we continue to synthesize and analyze the data. Your ideas and input help make our guide our decision making. All of this is be gathered. I don't know how many total listening sessions we've done over the last month or so, but there's been a number of them. And so gather all the data, all the comments. Our student investment committee will categorize them all and really kind of start putting them into buckets and prioritizing our next steps. We will share with the school board and the community what we've come up with as far as the ideas and input from our students and staff and families. Always appreciate ideas and feedback. If you think of something later on, you can feel free to call our district office or feel free to email us as well for any additional input. Student Investment Act. This has been kind of a game changer for us over the last couple of years. We have, it has 4 buckets: mental health and safety, class size, well-rounded education, and extended learning opportunities. We have made great use out of these funds. It's $1.2 million just to our district, and comes to us from the state. And we prioritize activities and staffing within these buckets. Just some of the things that we've done, implemented this year. We've hired additional staffing for all kindergarten and first grade classrooms for that additional support. Not only is that academic support, it helps behaviorally and socialization as well for our youngest learners. La Clinica and Family Solutions have been amazing mental health providers for every building in our school district. That's something we heard loud and clear, is the mental health supports that our kids need. We contract through the Southern Oregon ESD, which is a regional support for the 13 Southern Oregon districts, and it supported a counselor for our American Sign Language for our deaf and hard of hearing students. Our talent school resource officer is funded through this initiative for a resource for our middle school for safety and sharing with kids and staff the resources of that is available to them. Bilingual instructional aides and speech language pathologists. And we are happy to share that really next year we've gradually built this up, but we will have a full K-12 music program back in our district, which is very exciting to share. The ESSER funds, you hear a lot about federal funds and stimulus funds and things of that nature. ESSER stands for Elementary and Secondary School Emergency Relief Fund. This came about with COVID over the last couple of years, and the total money from ESSER 1, 2, and 3 is almost $14 million. A very significant chunk for providing in-person learning for our schools and moving forward after this pandemic. ESSER 3 is the last fund to be allocated. That's almost $9 million, and we'll be asking some questions just about facilities and things of that nature for the ESSER 3 dollars. We've spent this on HVAC upgrades, our school nursing partner, Asante, and then you can go ahead and see the rest of the information that we have spent money on. This is a one-time funding source, so this will end in 2024, and we will have to then prioritize and see where these positions fit in the general budget or other grants. It could be in the student investment account. So as you can see, that these listening sessions help guide our decision making, and we put these in place, and these have been a tremendous support for kids. I'm going to stop sharing my screen now. And Tiffany Lambert, Assistant Superintendent, have been facilitating most of these listening sessions. And so she's just going to go through. We have about 30 minutes or so to go through any questions that you guys may have.
It helps if I unmute myself. Hello, good evening, everybody. I see some people from last week's listening session. So welcome back, Chris and Sarah and Eleanor and Dawn. Thank you for that. So we have a smaller group again this time. So please feel free to unmute and to talk. You can also put messages in the chat. And again, we don't want to necessarily guide your answers or influence. So we have very open questions because we want to know your brutal truth and honesty. But we'll start in a positive way in what's going well in Phoenix Talent Schools. Please feel free to unmute.
Hey, Tiffany, it's Chris Luz again. How you doing?
Good, thanks. Thanks for coming again, Chris.
Hi, Brent. So last time I spoke to Tiffany a little bit, and I'm a big advocate of complete transparency with what's being taught to our kids, whether it be a video, a PowerPoint, assignments, articles. It's my belief that everything should be transparent and put online so a parent can see whatever a teacher is showing our kids. I'd even advocate having a camera in the classroom so we can see everything, but I know that's probably not going to happen. But I guess the question is to Brent and Tiffany, is there any opposition to having things completely transparent? And like I said, if there's a video being shown into a classroom, have it online so parents can see it, assignments online, articles online, everything that's taught in the classroom being available to the parent to see. Conceptually, would there be opposition to something like that?
You want me to take that? Go ahead.
I was just going to say, Chris, I've noted your concerns, and a lot in our listening session is taking feedback back to our student investment account team. So I will bring that back. Thank you, Chris.
But yeah, I appreciate that. But up and above the team, I know I got the superintendent here, assistant superintendent, school board members. I just personally can't see a reason why you wouldn't want total transparency so parents can see everything. But do you guys feel there would be any opposition to doing such a thing conceptually?
Well, Chris, I can share with you that we also have a common interest in transparency, and making sure that we're open and to our families. And I think, our staff and this board has done a great job of that over the last few years. And so like Tiffany said, I think, here's what we take back to the team and see if that, fits in these buckets, and certainly share the outcome with that.
Okay. That's right. But still just wondering why there wouldn't be, I get superintendent, assistant superintendent, if you guys would see any opposition to being completely transparent with the parents. And I don't mean to be disrespectful, but man, it'd be great for parents to see everything that's being put into the classroom and shown to our students. I can't see a reason why parents shouldn't see the videos, the articles, everything. And boy, if there was opposition, I'd really raise a red flag. But that's just my, my feelings. And I went on to Google Classroom with my daughter, and I could see some things, but we couldn't see everything. And parents should see everything. And so that's what I'm looking for, just complete transparency.
Thanks, Chris. We appreciate your feedback, and I'm glad you were able to get onto the Google Classroom. Anybody else would like to say, again, in response to our prompt, what's going well in Phoenix Town Schools? Okay, I'm going to move to the next question then. And then it's what is not going well. And if you need more prompting for this one, if you can think of facilities or upgrades to our buildings that perhaps might need to be done after the bond work, and also thinking about our communication with families and how that's going. So feel free to unmute. I also say that we've joined this to Facebook Live. So if we get questions and comments through our Facebook Live feed, we will read those out here too. So, but please either unmute or you can ask or make your statements in the chat. What's not going well in Phoenix Town Schools? So I'm looking at my phone to catch up with our Facebook stream as well. So I apologize if you see me looking down. How about, can you think of anything to our facilities that need to be upgraded since our bond? How are our facilities working?
I just might make a comment. Just thank you to this community for supporting, the bond. I know there's community members in here that have been supporting that. That has really set us up well. We didn't even know COVID was going to be a thing back in 2017, and how we've upgraded our HVAC systems and ability to pump in outside air and reclaim fresh air in our building is amazing. So thank you to the community members.
I do appreciate that. Andrea on Facebook has said, as much as I appreciate the new practice field at the high school, I think a bigger, closer parking area would have been more beneficial. And also to rethink the locker situation. Andrea, could you chime in? Do you mean the locker room or the regular lockers that every student uses, like having lockers for students? If you could clarify that one for me. And thanks, Andrea, for joining us on Facebook Live. That's a new thing for us. Okay, and the next part of the question is, how do you feel our district communicates with families? How are we doing with that? Communication between the district and families.
Well, this is Chris Luz again. I mentioned this last time. I think communication's really good. I get Brent's videos, I get texts, I get emails. My child's late, I hear about it. I think communication in general is really good. Maybe an improvement would be communication, maybe I know letters pretty expensive. I know you guys sent the emails out to parents regarding the listening session, but very little participation, so that's not good. I'm not sure how else you can get more participation, but I think in general, communication's really good. But like I mentioned before, I'd love to see everything a teacher is teaching, and that should be communicated to the parents. And otherwise, I think it's really good.
Great, thanks, Chris. Andrea clarified on Facebook of regular lockers, so rethinking the lockers, students at the high school. And she also added communication is great. She really likes the emails and texts to notify that there's an email. Thanks, Andrea, again. Okay, if there's no more comments, then I'm going to move to our last question. And what could the district do to support your child or your children better? This is a very quiet group. I'll also add in then, do you think that math should be optional starting March 12th? And also thinking about how can our school board connect better with our community? So you can address all of those, please.
This is Chris again. I hate to monopolize the time, but the math thing should be optional. It should be up to the parent and the students. And I'm glad we're moving in the direction of having it optional. Somebody wants to wear a mask, great. If they don't, fine too. That's it.
Hi, I agree. I believe the math should be optional for everybody. I have them optional in my office, and they should really be optional.
Thank you, Dr. Benton. Andrea on Facebook says yes, math optional, please.
How's the survey pan out, guys? I mean, you just survey. Are parents more in favor of making it optional or not? I mean, all I hear is optional, but how'd the survey pan out?
Brent, would you like to address that? Or would you like me to?
No, yeah, that's great. That's a good question. We have been compiling the surveys, and as far as the family one we sent out, the majority of the families sent back that they support mass optional. And at that time, it was March 31st. You notice the date now is March 12th. That's different from March 19th when they moved it up the first time. So just to clarify, today was an announcement that March 12th will be the day now for indoor optional masking. But it's about 70% for supporting mask optional, 20-ish% that do not support it, and there's still 9 or 10% that are still undecided. And it was a little bit similar with our staff as well. So that was it. That's what the data we got. If you participated in that survey, thank you. That really helps guide, you know, our decision making, and also helps with our discussions with the state.
And my kids will be happier than a snow day. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Tiffany, or whoever shared.
I was talking and I was muted. Sorry, I am also showing you our staff survey. Okay, opening it up to any other concerns that our community and parents have about our schools, any questions you might have, any ideas you might have, especially as we look at our student investment account and our ESSER. I'm reading a comment from Facebook for student support. We hear a lot about support systems for students who struggle, but would love to bring back some things for students that excel in school and rewards, award type recognition. Not sure whatever happened to the National Honor Society. I know that at Talent Middle School, they no longer have the National Junior Honor Society. Thanks, Andrea. We'll look at that.
I second that comment. That's great. We should definitely have things that cater to students that are high achievers, not try to make everything, equal. There's some high achieving students, and we should do some catering to them, like we cater to people who are struggling. And one thing that's kind of off topic, there's a, in front of the city hall here in Phoenix, we used to have the fire station before the barracks burned down. The fire trucks would come out and they just ate up the road pretty good. But they're teaming up with the city to rebuild that road and do some other things in that area. I'd love to see the school system somehow kick in with the city and repair Rose Street by the high school, because the buses just do a number on the streets in front of the high school. So there's a way to work, jointly with the city. I know we've done something with signs and whatnot, but whether the roads really take a beating from the buses, and if nice to work together with the city to improve Rose Street, which was paved not that long ago, but it's getting beaten up. That's just a off the cuff comment. You guys have so much money.
Thanks, Chris. I want to, Andrea, just to clarify, we did confirm that there's the National Honor Society. Miss Fairmont is the advisor at the high school, and we'll check into the middle school. Some of our clubs and activities kind of fell to the wayside with the pandemic and are being revitalized, and we'll check on that one. Thanks for that comment. Anybody else? Again, a small group. Feel free on Facebook to chat your comments. You can, if you're on part of our Zoom, you can unmute and we will share with everybody. We have about 15 more minutes before we transition to our Spanish speaking listening session.
Well, hi, Tiffany. One of the questions I thought I saw was about the board members and being involved in the community or something. I don't know what I think it could be fun to invite them to the schools to eat lunch, or I loved it when the board meetings were at the different schools and maybe a class could highlight something they're doing. I think we did that before. That was always fun. And I just think that's a great way for the board to give back and be out in the community a little bit more. Maybe I remember one time, I think a different school I worked at, where board members would come to and eat lunch with the students. So I think that could be something they could do.
Love that idea. Very nice. On Facebook, Amber Jacobson said, just a thank you for all you guys do. Thanks, Amber. And Andrea said, traffic on Rose Street at the high school is crazy during pickup. Not sure what could be done about that. We'll note that too. All good comments. Keep them coming. Facebook Live has a delay, so it's really weird when I'm trying to give some wait time. As a reminder to everybody, or if you're just joining us on Facebook Live, this is our listening session. We take the comments. We have very good notes, both from the chat and from what's being said out loud. Those will go to our student investment account committee, and our committee will categorize the comments. Those are then shared with our administrators, so when building principals and the leadership teams are making their school improvement plans. They know what our stakeholders are feeling, as well as guides our student investment account and our ESSER 3 funds, which do require stakeholder input. We also will give all comments as a summary to our school board. So our school board also understands how our parents and families and community members feel as well. So we really do appreciate your input. Eleanor, please.
Yeah, sure. Hi, Eleanor Panamareff. I'm on the Talent City Council here just to listen, but I'm also a parent whose kids graduated from the talent schools. And then I wanted to say awesome job in general. And also just really pleased to hear that that music, I think you said music's going to be back in every grade. And I think that's absolutely wonderful. My kids really enjoyed the music program. A question, I'm just wondering if you have, I'm curious to know, I'm really glad to hear La Clinica was helping out with the mental health services being provided to the kids. I was wondering if you had any information about how many of the kids were able to reach out and use those services.
That's a great question, Eleanor. I think the easy answer, or the short answer, not the easy answer, but the short answer is that all of our mental health therapists and providers are full. Their caseloads fill up very, very quickly. So we have one at each school building, and they take caseloads between 25 and 30, depending on the grade level and the intensity of the therapy they're providing. And they're all full. We did add, or La Clinica added for us, 2 virtual mental health therapists for our students in the virtual academy and those in our alternative ed, but then as overflow for students that couldn't be seen in person, and those are also full. So we're at capacity right now.
That's terrific. Well, I'm glad you're providing that service. Just a quick follow-up. At the high school, I think you had some peer support at one time. I was wondering if that was able to continue during COVID or not.
Did you say peer support?
Right, where the students were offering peer counseling.
Yeah, I don't think that has kicked back up. We did add a counselor too at the high school along with the mental health services. So, but like Tiffany said, there's definitely a need. I am so thankful for student investment account because we got on a La Clinica contract before the fires, before, going into a couple tough years. And like Tiffany said, they are kind of maxed out, and we continue to see how we can continue to provide that support for our kids and really our families as a whole. So.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much for doing that.
Thanks, Eleanor. We have Andrea commented on Facebook. Thank you for doing this. I actually like this format. I think a lot of parents don't participate in these types of things because they don't want to be on video. I totally get that. But thanks to Andrea too. And our Facebook Live is something new. So we're still experimenting with it. So I'm glad you like it. Looks like we have 14 people on Facebook watching this right now. Just awesome. Any other comments? Sarah, thanks for the thumbs up, but any other comments or suggestions you would like us to bring forward? Just going to open it up for a few more minutes before we then transition to our Spanish-speaking listening session for our Spanish-speaking families.
It's Chris Luz again. Got a question regarding the new housing over in Talent that was recently built. You guys know how many units are filled over there and how many are left to be filled?
Are you talking Gateway?
I am. Yes.
Okay. Yes, they have in the last month or so, they have filled up, They are holding, and I don't know how many they're holding exactly. They were going to hold anywhere from 8 to 10. I think that dropped from down to 5 potentially, as families continue to lose their emergency housing options in hotels or in different emergency housing situations. So it has filled up, and I didn't jump on the meeting this morning, but Rogue Retreat said there is last week 5 that are being saved for a few weeks to when those emergency housing goes away.
Brent, do you have to have kids in the school system in order to move in there?
Yeah, so we prioritized kids in the school system, and then it opened up. It slowed down a little bit into, and you'll see our families have to really go to where their resources are. And some found permanent housing, which is fantastic, in different areas of Southern Oregon or the state. And so it was open to families that were impacted by the fire, but that has since, I think, so it's already full. But there is a waiting list that people can go to at Rogue Retreat. But we did prioritize kids in our school district. We got a number of our families back, which was the goal that started out with us during the fire, and then had to move to where their resources were, and simply just did not want to be on a bus that long. So that was good to see, to get some families back in our school district where they can really access the school as well.
All right, thanks for the answer, Brent.
Yeah, you bet.
Okay, well, thank you all for being here. Some of us are staying on the line because we're going to go to the next session, but it gives us a moment to take a short break. We really do appreciate your comments. You can always talk with us through email and or letters to the board if you were wanting to address them. For a good email, I'm going to put it in the chat, askpts@phoenix.k12.or.us. You can email us in both English and Spanish, and we will get your comments and concerns to the appropriate people. So thank you so much for joining us, and we hope you have a good week.
Just want to recognize Michael and Sarah, who came in as board members. I introduced Don and Polly, but thanks for being here and joining tonight. Buenos tardes. We will get started here in just a few minutes.
Good evening. Vamos a empezar en unos minutos.
We do have interpreters available, and so we will be gathering all this information as we continue through the session.
Tenemos intérpretes disponibles mientras continuamos con esta sesión.
Hola, buenas tardes. We are going to get started here for this Spanish-speaking listening session. My name is Brent Berry, Superintendent, Phoenix Talent Schools.
Ok, vamos a empezar con la sesión de escucha de hoy en la tarde. Mi nombre es Brent Berry y soy superintendente aquí de las escuelas de Phoenix y Talent.
And I have Bricia here. I will have her introduce herself.
Y aquí estoy yo, soy Bricia Morales, trabajo en el distrito, las oficinas de distrito aquí de Phoenix y Talent. Y apoyo aquí en las oficinas y estoy enfrente de secretaria y También ayudo con diseño y ayudo a interpretar también.
We are thankful for Bricia and her service to our district, and she's housed here at the district office, as she just mentioned, so thank you.
Estamos agradecidos con Bricia porque está aquí ayudándonos y es parte aquí de las oficinas del distrito.
I'm going to share my screen and we will go through some slides to start tonight, and then we will have our listening session where you can provide input.
Voy a compartir mi pantalla para que puedan ver unas páginas donde vamos a compartir y vamos a comenzar con esta sesión.
I trust you can see that okay.
Espero que puedan ver bien ahí lo que dice.
So what is a listening session? We have had these over the last couple years, and it's very important to us to hear from our families.
Entonces, ¿qué es una sesión de escucha? Esto lo hemos tenido por algunos años, 2 años aproximadamente, y es una forma donde podemos escucharlos a ustedes.
Your input helps guides our decision-making process.
Sus aportaciones nos ayudan a tomar decisiones.
We gather all this information and our team puts it into buckets, and it guides our work.
Juntamos toda la información que ustedes nos dan y eso guía el trabajo que nosotros hacemos.
As we move throughout the spring, we will be sharing this information with our community and our school board.
Mientras entra la primavera, vamos a estar compartiendo esto con el comité escolar también.
We are very fortunate to have a fund called the Student Investment Act.
Estamos muy afortunados en tener un fondo de inversiones para los estudiantes.
This provides support in 4 different areas: mental health and safety, class size, well-rounded education, and extended learning opportunities.
Esto trae apoyo a 4 diferentes áreas, que es la salud mental y seguridad, el tamaño de los salones o las clases, educación integral y oportunidades de aprendizaje extendidas.
Your feedback helps us decide on how we use these funds.
Sus aportaciones nos ayudan a saber cómo usar estos fondos.
This year, we were able to provide additional staff at kindergarten and first grade.
Este año pudimos usar estos fondos para traer asistentes de enseñanza para todos los salones de kinder y primer grado.
And another one I'd like to highlight is we heard loud and clear that mental health resources were very important to our students and community.
Y algo que me gustaría resaltar y que es muy importante es que trajimos profesionales de salud mental también para la comunidad.
Also, this fund also supported music teachers at elementary level, and I'm happy to share that we have kindergarten through 12th grade music program back in Phoenix Talent Schools.
Estos fondos también ayudaron a regresar los programas musicales o de música para las escuelas.
There's also a funding source from the federal government that is Elementary and Secondary School Emergency Relief Fund.
También hay otro fondo de alivio de emergencia para las escuelas primarias y secundarias.
This adds up to a large sum of money, and we have utilized this to provide in-person learning after the fires and the pandemic.
Esto suma una gran cantidad donde pudimos usarlo después de que sucedió durante la pandemia.
Some of the upgrades and items we've used in this funding source is our HVAC system that processes our air in our building.
Algo que hemos podido actualizar en los edificios es la calefacción y ventilación del aire acondicionado en los edificios.
In addition, we have helped support our online virtual academy and our alternative education teacher.
También hemos podido traer apoyo a los maestros del online, las clases en línea.
And you can see the other items on that slide that help provide a service to our students.
Y ahí tenemos la lista de todo lo demás que también trajimos como apoyo a nuestros estudiantes.
At this time, I'll stop sharing my screen,
Ahorita voy a dejar de compartir mi pantalla
and I am happy to introduce Maria Lee, who will be taking us through the rest of the program.
y voy a presentar a Maria Lee, que va a introducirnos al resto del programa.
Buenas tardes. See, Tiffany, can you share your screen for somebody? Y también tenemos aquí a Tiffany Lambert y a su lado está Lucy Brossard, que está interpretando para ella. Entonces ella va a poder entender todo lo que están diciendo. Entonces, hoy vamos a tener una sesión de escuchar y es su tiempo para expresar sus opiniones, lo que está pasando, sus experiencias en el distrito. No es tiempo de contestar las preguntas. Entonces, solamente estamos aquí para escuchar a ustedes. Entonces, es su tiempo para expresarse. Entonces, la primera pregunta que les vamos a hacer, ¿qué está pasando en las escuelas de Phoenix Talent? ¿Usted o su estudiante usan algunos de los servicios proveídos por los fondos de SIA?
Para los padres de familia que nos están viendo en Facebook Live, si tienen alguna pregunta, también lo pueden poner ahí en el chat y nosotros estamos revisando esos comentarios o preguntas y los vamos a anotar si es una pregunta o los comentarios para nuestra parte de nuestra recaudación de sus diferentes comentarios esta noche. Gracias.
Y si no hay alguien que quiere hablar, pueden escribir algo en el chat, pero podemos seguir con la segunda pregunta. Si no hay alguien que quiere decir algo. We can go to the next slide if there's nobody that wants to share anything. Okay. ¿Qué está funcionando bien en las escuelas de Phoenix Talent? ¿Cuáles instalaciones, actualizaciones necesitamos después de que se haya terminado el trabajo del bono? ¿Y cómo va la comunicación con las familias?
Es un recordatorio si están en el Facebook Live ahorita. Si tienen algún comentario, lo pueden poner en el chat. Estamos revisando todos los comentarios, no nada más del Zoom, sino también los que están poniendo en Facebook Live. Gracias.
Yo no puedo ver el Facebook Live, entonces si ustedes ven algo, si nos pueden comentar. Podemos seguir al próximo si no hay alguien que quiere comentar. Okay. ¿Qué puede hacer el distrito para apoyar mejor a sus hijos? Empezando ya no es el 31 de mayo, ¿cree que las máscaras deberían ser opcionales? ¿Cómo pueden los miembros de la Junta Escolar conectarse más con la comunidad? Y si no hay nadie que quiere compartir, podemos ir a la próxima. So, entonces, gracias para estar con nosotros. Y si tienen cualquier pregunta, por favor, avísenos. No sé si alguien más quiere decir algo. Since we don't have any comments, I don't know if anybody wants to add anything before we finish.
I'd just like to say thank you. I recognize most of the people on here, and there's some that I don't recognize, but just thank you for your support.
Me gustaría dar gracias por los que están presentes. A algunos sí los conozco, otros no los reconozco, pero gracias por estar aquí.
I want to thank board members that have been on tonight. Don Watson, Michael Campbell, Polly Fairmont, Sarah Crawford.
Da gracias a los miembros del comité escolar por estar presentes.
También vamos a poner aquí en el chat, en las ambas localidades, el correo electrónico. Si hay un padre de familia que posiblemente no pudo dar sus comentarios esta noche, pero todavía quieren que sean oídos como parte de esta sesión de escucha, por favor pueden enviarnos un correo electrónico al correo electrónico ASK, P de Pablo, T de Tito, S de Sol, @phoenix.k12.or.us. Entonces el email está ahí en el chat. También pueden llamar a la oficina aquí del distrito al 541-535-1517 y su servidor aquí, Lucy Brasser, o si no la señora Bricia Morales, estaríamos más con placer de hablar con ustedes, tomar sus comentarios y asegurarnos que esos sean incluidos como esta parte del recado de comentarios de nuestras familias aquí en el distrito de Phoenix y Talent.
We have no questions on Facebook Live either, so just want to say thank you very much for joining us. Again, please email or call us if you have additional comments.
Entonces, como estamos viendo que no hay comentarios o preguntas ni aquí en el Zoom o en el Facebook Live, vamos a concluir esta reunión para el día de hoy. Si tienen cualquier pregunta, por favor, denos una llamada o si no, también pueden enviar un correo electrónico. Estamos aquí para servirles. Muchísimas gracias y que tengan una buena noche.
Thank you to Tiffany and Luz and Maria who've been facilitating these. So thank you so much.
Gracias a Blanca, Luz, y a Tiffany y María por facilitar esta junta.